Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Teresa. This is Lost My Thread. I am coming to the end of my Me Made May series of trying to create my dream wardrobe, and I want to spend some time reflecting on what the process has been like for me, talking about some of the advantages and disadvantages of this kind of approach. As I have mentioned, I had 4 main resources that I was pulling from to try and create my own process of trying to create my dream wardrobe. The first is the Me Made May workbook. This was created by Zoe, who is the creator of Me Made May, and she is also the host of the Check Your Thread podcast and has the So What Do You Know blog. I also use the Seamwork wardrobe planner, and this is meant to accompany the Design Your Dream wardrobe course that they run, but it can also be used on its own. I also use the Create Your Dream wardrobe workbook from the Love to Sew podcast, and I will say this was probably the closest to my approach, but that and all the other resources really did pull a lot from the Curated Closet by Anuschka Rees. So this was a good kind of backup with a bit more detailed information. I used all of these together because I feel like they largely are the same approach, even though there are minor differences. I'm aware that they are not the only approach. So in addition to talking about what it was like going through these different workbooks and this book, I also will just be interspersing other approaches that you might want to take if you want to assess your own wardrobe. I'm going to look at what this process was like for me week by week. The first week I was trying to understand my current wardrobe. Now I decided to do what the Curated Closet recommends, which is to take photos of everything that I was wearing over a 2-week period. I definitely saw some issues with this. I will say it's definitely a lot to do. I have had experience over multiple years of taking daily outfit photos during Me Made May, but that was generally just one outfit that I was wearing. So photographing absolutely everything that I wore was definitely a bit more intense. I will say that she recommends, and I was very much going with just like basic mirror selfies that I wasn't necessarily going to be showing people, and that did make it a little bit easier. And I will say there was something really positive that came from that process. It really helped me to recognize the downfalls that I have in my loungewear, and I'm very much thinking about that in my forward planning as far as my loungewear wardrobe. So there was definitely that big plus. As far as what I was wearing on the day-to-day, I wouldn't say that it was particularly that insightful or that interesting for me because I do know what I wear. Now, I already am someone coming in who already has a spreadsheet where I keep track of all the Me Made clothes that I wear. I have a list of the things that I'm wearing the most, so I am quite conscious of the types of things that I reach for and the styles, the silhouettes, the fabrics that I tend to wear more often. So I don't think I was necessarily personally going to get a load from that, but if you really aren't quite sure of what you're wearing, it could be useful. The biggest downfall with it though, honestly, is that we're talking about a very short 2-week period. 2 weeks in your life can be really quite a specific time period. I mean, definitely if you're going to be working more, if you're going to be on vacation, if you're going to be going out more often in that period. One of my viewers, Nancy, she was sick over the 2 weeks she was planning to take daily outfit photos. So obviously that was not going to be very reflective of her normal dressing. I also know a lot of people who dress very differently at different times of year. I feel like I do that to some degree, but there are a lot of people who wear quite a lot of like dark muted colors in the winter, more like warm autumnal colors in the winter, really pastel-y colors in the spring, and bright bold colors in the summer. I actually think it's really nice to have that variety, and I totally appreciate the fun that you can have when you're playing around with different color palettes or different types of silhouettes, depending on like maybe floaty dresses in the summer and more structured things in the winter time. And so if you're talking about just a 2-week period, you're really just getting like this specific 2 weeks, what you were wearing depending on what the weather was doing, depending on what time of year, depending on your mood, and it's just not really going to give that big of a picture. I chose, because I have this spreadsheet and I know what I'm wearing the most throughout the year, I decided to really look at both to see how they compared, and I feel like the words that I chose for myself, I think fit more with my regular day-and-day dressing rather than necessarily that 2-week period. So I think it's just something you want to be conscious of. I will say as well, I know for myself that if I have less of a type of garment, I'm going to wear it more often, and if I have more of a type of garment, I'm going to wear it less often. For example, I have a lot of dresses. I sew a lot of dresses, but I also like wearing dresses a lot, but I'm less likely to be wearing the same exact dress because I have so many. I don't have as many pairs of trousers. so I'm gonna wear the same trousers repeatedly more and more. It doesn't mean that like those are my favorite trousers, those are the best trousers, I need all of this type of trouser. It's just what I've got. So I'm making the most of what I have in my wardrobe. So I think you just need to have that in mind as well. If you're looking at, oh wow, I seem to be just wearing the same jacket all the time. Maybe you need more jackets that are different, and maybe you'd wear those as well. Maybe you'd wear them more often. I think you just need to be a little bit critical of this approach and try not to read too much into it, and more try and think about how you're feeling and what it was like to wear those things, and if you had wished maybe there was something else that you could have worn instead. Moving on then to week 2, which I think is probably the most fun of the weeks, and that is gathering inspiration. I feel like this is something that we often just instinctively do anyway. You see something, you like it, you make a mental note or even just a note on your phone that, okay, I want to maybe look into that pattern. I might want to think about making that type of garment. But I think trying to gather it all together, it's fun, but I don't think it's a perfect system. So I will say, as far as gathering things, I don't necessarily gather inspiration on like a Pinterest board on a regular basis. So I was very much trying to do it over a short 2-week period. And I will say Pinterest in and of itself is not the best way to gather inspiration of clothes that you want to wear, because like any social media site, it's going to be showing you things that it thinks you're going to like. It's putting information in. So, you know, if for example, you have a photo of a button-up linen skirt that you like and you pin that to your board, it's going to show you a ton more button-up linen skirts because it thinks, okay, this is the kind of thing you like. Let's just show you loads of the same. And yeah, I ended up pinning a ton of button-up linen skirts because I do like it. But that doesn't mean that I want half of my wardrobe to be button-up linen skirts, as my Pinterest page may suggest. So I think, again, it's all about just being critical and thinking about the systems that you're using. Pinterest is only as good as the information that you're putting into it. And I had to search for a whole variety of different search terms once I thought, oh, actually, what's not being represented in here? So for example, I wasn't really pinning any jumpsuits, but I know that I like jumpsuits and I know I want more jumpsuits. So then I did a little search for different styles of jumpsuits and found those to pin. But you do have to put the work in to be able to find the things that you might want to try. And I will say that if you're going to be having that approach, you already have to kind of know what you want. So it didn't really feel like the full exploration that it could have. Now, I appreciate that is me just looking at Pinterest, and that is just one website. But I feel like if you're going to be trying to dream up and think about what you want to wear, realistically, it needs to be more of a long-term process. And I think it's something that you need to be doing on the daily throughout the year if that's something that you want to do. Every time you see a photo of something that you like the look of, stick it on a Pinterest board or save it to your Instagram saves. And then that way you can look at that when you're trying to think about planning going forward, but maybe having a little bit more of a gradual approach to gathering the information. I will say that Pinterest is also going to gear towards certain body types, certain ages, so it can be quite tricky to find a range there if you're not going to necessarily fit with that exact type of body. And I will say I am very aware that there are certain silhouettes and styles that I think look fabulous on somebody else, but I also know that I just don't like how they look on me. So like a plunging deep V, I've definitely in the past seen tops with someone with quite a small bust, no bra on, a really plunging deep V, and I'm like, oh, that's super cute. I really like that. I would like to wear that. But I know very well that I'm not going to be popping out of that top or that dress and feeling comfortable. I'm not going to like that same look on myself. And I think it is difficult when you're just looking at model photos or blogger photos who are looking all very fancy and done up in a certain body type that you don't necessarily fit into. One thing I do like about this approach is that the idea is to just see what you like, pin what you like, regardless of what you tend to wear, what you feel like you could or should be wearing. Because I do think that whenever you have some kind of hard and fast rule, it's not going to fit everybody, you know? So if you have like the fruit body type shapes, the apple and the pear, and you're like, yeah, if you're an apple, you should be wearing this, you should be avoiding this. Not everyone's going to be that simple fitting into one of those categories, but not everyone's going to feel that they agree with what they are told. The Kibby body type model is one that I know that's been a little bit more popular recently, and it definitely doesn't appeal to me personally, just because I don't like having a set of rules of what I should and shouldn't wear. And definitely when I've been seeing people who are going down that road and they're like, yep, this is my body type, I should wear these silhouettes, avoid those kinds of silhouettes, I feel like most people end up actually disagreeing with some of those recommendations. So for me, I would rather just play around and experiment. But I do think it's quite nice to sometimes try different things because it may not be something that you've worn before. But if you're really gravitating toward the look of it, give it a try. It might feel better on you than you're expecting. I will say I was very conscious of my color choices when I was pinning things, particularly to the color board. And really that is because I know which colors I like to wear the most. I know which ones I have in my wardrobe the most, what I would like more of in my wardrobe. Yes, there were some surprises, and I did spot some colors that would go well with other things that I'm already wearing that I think actually that would be a good thing to introduce into my wardrobe. But at the same time, I love a neon yellow. I really enjoy it. And there were things that I could pin that are neon yellow, but I'm not going to put them on my board because even if I like the look of them and I like the way somebody else looks in them, I know that it's not going to be something that I'm going to wear. So I think you do need to just think a little bit about not necessarily what the board is showing you, but what you know in yourself. And I know there's a lot of people who are really into the seasonal color analysis, and I think there is something there potentially. And I do think there are some colors that I know just wash me out and don't look good on me. But most of the people I know who have spent the time, spent the money paying for the seasonal color analysis ended up with a result that they were pretty much expecting. The colors that they already like wearing, the colors that they tend to want to wear a lot are the ones that are recommended for them, so it's no big surprises. And I personally would rather just go with my instinct, and things might change. I definitely used to wear different colors when I was younger than what I wear now, and I don't want to restrict myself to not be able to wear other colors in the future. I think for me it's all about just seeing what colors are making me happy, see what colors are calling out to me, and just going with that. And this inspiration stage of the process, I will say, is probably the part that I had most issue with, because there was an ongoing assumption that there is one style that you want to wear. And honestly, there isn't one style that I want to wear. I tried my best to come up with some kind of overarching theme for the majority of the images that I pinned, but there are plenty of things on my Pinterest board that don't really fit into that silly description that I came up with. But also, I feel different from one day to the next. Some days I want to be like floaty and bohemian and ethereal, and other days I want to be cute and sporty. There's room for that in our wardrobe. And there was one viewer, and I cannot find her comment, but she made a really interesting comment talking about a different approach that she's heard of that she wants to try, where you allow yourself to have different types of styles. And when you're making things, you are making things for those different elements of your style. So when you're planning what you're going to sew or what you're going to buy, you are thinking like, okay, well, this is going to work for my workwear wardrobe. This is going to be for my date night wardrobe. Or it could just be a type of style that you want to wear. So this is going to be for my more masculine, hard edges, workwear kind of vibe. And then this is going to be more for my festival wear. I do feel like there's room for all of us to have a little bit of different things and experimentation. Like I mentioned, seasonally you might want to be wearing different things. And I personally feel like I like having variety in my wardrobe. There are, as I mentioned when I was doing my wardrobe audit, lots of things that don't really fit in with this dream style that I've come up with for myself. But I can tell you right now, that dream style, as fun as it is, and as much as I do want to make things in that style, I don't want to not make things in the other styles that I like to wear as well. This top that I'm wearing today, this was refashioned from a dress. It is not my deep autumnal colors. It is not soft and floaty and feminine with gathers, but it's stinking cute and I feel really great in it, and I'm going to keep on wearing it. And I think all of us need to just think about, okay, maybe there are different elements of what we want in our style, and maybe that's okay. And I feel like that was really useful for me to consider because yes, as much as I want to have a cohesive wardrobe with things that go together, I don't necessarily want to dress the same way every day. To me, that's just really boring. I'm not saying that that's bad, for anybody. Other people might really like having all their things that they can mix and match. But I personally really get so much from having variety, different times of year, but even just different days. And I don't want to be hemmed into one category. Now, don't get me wrong, I do think there is a lot of fun in having things that work together, that you can mix and match together with unexpected combinations. And something that I really do want to do is a 10 by 10 wardrobe challenge. It's a bit of a capsule wardrobe challenge. I've mentioned on my channel, it's one of my goals for the year. I want to have 10 garments, which are the only garments that I'm wearing over a 10-day period, but I need to be able to mix and match them together. I did mention that I want to encourage some of you guys to take part if you're interested. So my plan is to do that starting on the 10th of the 10th. I'll be making another video near the time just to tell you guys, if you want to take part, how you would do that and what it looks like. But the whole point of that is you have 10 garments that you can mix and match. But actually, I like the idea that I could have a 10 by 10 wardrobe challenge in October, and a completely different one that I would be having in July, for example. And I like that I have different styles that I could then create like mini capsules in and of themselves. To me, that's kind of the ultimate, and then I can just play around in all of those different styles. And it was funny to me when I was doing the most recent video where I was talking about what I'd found from my Pinterest board, from my dream wardrobe, and how I wanted to incorporate those bits into my wardrobe in the future. My memory didn't necessarily match the boards. So there were things that I mentioned that I felt like, oh, I'd seen lots of lightweight, floaty, viscose shirts, but actually there weren't a ton on there. They were more like a soft, maybe cotton lawn shirts. They were floral, so I had that kind of similar feel and drape, but they weren't super floaty. And I feel like it's probably like I've created in my own mind an idea of what I want that doesn't even necessarily have that much to do with the board at this point. But I still want to go with what I feel like I'm drawn to. Yes, I will refer to those Pinterest boards, and maybe I will remind myself of some of those elements that maybe I want to think about instead. But I feel like on the whole, it's almost more like it's helped me to create a feel inside of what I'm trying to bring into my wardrobe rather than actually relying on those specific images. Now, you could also take it a step further when you're looking at all the images that are inspiring you and thinking about what they have in common as far as outfit formulas. So there are a lot of outfit formulas out there of like certain types of garments that you can think, right, I want to have lots of tops and trousers and boots and jackets that I can pair together, or thinking about if I want one of each of those categories, what do I have that fits into them, what's missing. You could have blouses and cardigans and skirts and flats that go together and think, okay, well, I need some more skirts to go in with that category so that I can have that wardrobe formula easy and ready to go. I think there is some simplicity in that on the day-to-day getting dressed, but I kind of like the fun variety of mixing and matching, and I don't personally want to feel like I have to always have those types of garments matching together. For me, the fun is in the playing and unexpected combinations of clothes. I think the biggest criticism for this type of approach, which is also a criticism I've heard of the curated closet, is that it is just a lot of work. You have to spend a lot of hours piecing together all this information. It was a lot for me to do in a month's time, guys, and definitely probably that was a little bit ambitious of myself, but I wanted to fit it around Me Made May, which is why I did it that way. Honestly though, regardless of how long you're going to be taking, there's a lot of homework involved. Sometimes you're going to be having to just gather data, and sometimes it's going to be boring, and a lot of times it's going to be tedious. But if you are a very methodical person who wants really specific goals to work through, questions to ask yourself, it's great for you. I do think it's really going to be something where your mileage may vary depending on the type of brain you have, the type of approach that you have. I think if you're someone who isn't necessarily super methodical in this way, it could definitely feel really tedious. I didn't mind going through that process because I feel like I kind of tap into both the left and the right side of my brains in general. I'm quite happy to do a bit of a mishmash, but there were moments where I did feel like, you know what? I decided against making a pie chart of the activities that I do and the amount of time I spend doing them compared to the amount of clothes that I have that fit that in my wardrobe. I feel like for myself, I am somebody who doesn't necessarily need to have tons of clothes for the activities that I do the most. I'm certainly happy to have tons of dresses, even if I don't have as many occasions to wear them. And I do agree with some of the criticism I have read about the curated closet, that it really does not need to be as long as it is. There's a fair amount of repetition, there's quite a lot of padding. I feel like it probably was really just a series of good blog posts or a series of good magazine articles that you can work through. And that was what I was trying to do when I was making my videos, because I feel like you can get really into the deep nitty-gritty, but actually a lot of it, you're just kind of treading over the same waters, and you can probably just pick apart those elements in a much more concise way. I think for me, the biggest question at the end of this whole process is, has it changed how I feel about my current wardrobe? Has it changed how I feel about what I want in my wardrobe, things I want to make and bring into my wardrobe? And I will say the answer for all those questions really is yes. I feel like looking at my current style, I think I feel better about it really. When I look at the things that I would like it to be and things that I really like the look of, I can recognize that I actually do have quite a lot of that in my current wardrobe, which made me feel happier about what I'm wearing. I do also feel like it gave me some idea of some of the styles and things that I do want to try, But as I said, I also do want to have some other styles and make some other things, and I'm totally cool with that as well. If you have been on a similar wardrobe journey, or if you've been following along with myself, I would love to hear what you thought of the process itself. I know there's never going to be like a one-size-fits-all approach that works for everybody, and I guarantee there will be people who have tried this kind of approach and then gave up because it was just too much hard work. But I'd be curious to hear either way, whether you feel like it was something that you found useful or that you consider trying yourself as well in the future. If you have tried other approaches to style, so maybe things that I've mentioned that I've totally misrepresented, or maybe they're way better than I was presenting them to be, please tell me, because honestly, I'm here to learn and I'm here to be open-minded and find out about what other people find really useful. I'm definitely somebody who is willing to try different approaches. I'm not necessarily expecting to be going down this style journey again anytime soon, but who knows, in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, I might try all this again and I might come out with a completely different outcome. I have loved hearing all of your personal descriptors, all of your descriptions of your dream wardrobe or the name of your dream wardrobe style. It has been so much fun, and I have to say one of my favorite things about it is that we are all so different. I love hearing and dreaming up styles that I never would be personally drawn to, but I can totally see, and I can absolutely see why you would want to have that as your dream style. In general, I feel like it's been a fun approach for me, and I've definitely enjoyed the process. I hope it's been a fun journey to follow along with me. If you did enjoy my video today, I always do really appreciate those thumbs up, helps other people to find my channel. If you do want to see my future style, wherever it may lead, please do subscribe to my channel to see upcoming videos, and I'll be back and see you soon. Bye!